Welcome to the Vision Profiles podcast. Join us tonight, 3 dedicated Apple Vision Pro users, as we dive into everything from hardware and software to apps and the latest updates in the world of Apple Vision Pro. I'm Marty, a faculty member at Kent State University. Starting break. It's so great to be on a semester break. I'm also a podcaster and avid Apple product fan.
And I'm not yet on break, but I'm Eric Bolden. I work in IT. My interest is in finding interesting ways to share content. Currently, photography of bald eagles who, for some reason, get upset if you start saying, "Hey, it's a bald eagle." Birds and plants and panoramic sequences. It's been a Monday on Sunday.
And I'm Daniel Burkholder, a software engineer and technologist currently interested in generative AI and AR and VR technologies. And I am also not on break yet.
I'll tell you, let me put it this way. I've finished grading. That doesn't mean I'm on break. As I told Daniel pre-show, it means this is when all the students email me and ask for special favors, like letters of recommendation and things like that are important to them right now, but I could use some time away from my job. So we'll make it happen as we make it happen. And tonight's show, though, we're recording kind of a night early because of all the holiday stuff in terms of social events that we get asked to and things like that. We just talked before the show. We're going to do this again next Sunday night. Then we'll probably get onto the Monday night cycle again when we can do this after we get post-holidays. We're going to cover some news and look at some great apps and talk about that as we usually do with the show. But let's start with something. Daniel wasn't here last week, and we talked about the PlayStation controllers or PlayStation AR possibly working with Apple to have controllers. Daniel, any thoughts?
I mean, well, I wouldn't get our hopes up yet just because of historical precedents with respect to what I'm going to call like console level gaming, I guess, with respect to Apple. But if true, I mean, why not, right? I mean, I would be looking forward to it. It'd be better than having some random, and not to say anything bad about the Surreal Touch guys. I'm eagerly awaiting my controllers. Should be in a couple weeks. Should be this month. But any more compatibility out there is always for the better. I mean, they are really compatible with the Xbox and PlayStation controllers. Actually really compatible. You can do a lot of even accessibility things with the with Xbox and PS4 and 5 controllers on iOS and even on the Vision Pro. So I'm sure that they probably have to do a deeper relationship to have these controllers work as opposed to like just your regular kind of game pads. So I mean, I look forward to it because not everyone's they're going to want to have something on the store shelf, and a Sony product on the store shelf is way a better sell than a no-name one you've never heard of before, no matter how good they are.
Yeah. You mentioned the Kickstarter controllers that you and I are both waiting for. I kind of poked into the Kickstarter. What were they called again?
Surreal Touch.
Surreal Touch. I kind of looked into the Kickstarter and to see what was going on, and there has been some chatter with the people who are producing that they're attempting to get the orders out right now. So it might be sooner than a couple of weeks that you and I both see those controllers, and then we'll get to play around with them and talk a little bit on the show. Eric, do you have anything to add about PlayStation?
I'm just looking forward to hear what the two of you have to say about whatever you get. It's not something I interact with. Although I'm beta testing a game now that, given the levels of the controls at the moment, having an alternative might be worth it. But they promise in the next release they'll get rid of queasiness.
From the game that you're testing?
Yeah, something's not quite aligned right, so when you turn, the
room turns slower than you do. Yeah.
You have to pause for a moment or take Dramamine.
Yeah, I was in a game like that last week. I think it might have been on my Meta. Yeah, I was playing Taskmaster on my Meta, and I had just had a big meal and was sitting in a chair because that's how I wanted to play. And part of the task was I needed to walk across the room and reach and bend over with my hand because they didn't have any controller access to pick it up. And that about made me ready to fall out of the chair. So yeah, weak old men are not and I'm not saying you're old, Eric, but weak old men with vertigo are probably not the people for that game setup. We did a little testing this week with the Vision OS 2.2. It is on full release now. So everyone should get full release. That's what I say. All right. I got the first face palm of Eric of the night. But yeah, so one of the things that Eric and I talked about last week was testing out embedded spatial audio in a Safari page, because that's one of the things that they're saying is happening now and is available. So I pasted in. Well, actually, I took the code from my Vimeo site and embedded it into a web page on a server that I have, and then looked at it through Safari through my headset. Did you have a chance to look at it, Eric?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it seemed to work pretty well. I also was trying to look at kind of other places where maybe something would work. I thought, well, if I log into the web version of iCloud and then click through all my pictures, I would think that would work too.
Mm-hmm.
In one case, it seemed to, and I don't know if that was a fluke, because the next time I tried something, it definitely did not work. So, and I haven't tried it a third time yet to check. But I'm guessing that it will get better and better over time, but it's not everywhere yet. There are other updates that need to happen.
Well, we'll see as time. I'm chomping at the bit for the developer beta 2.3, I guess, 0.1 or whatever will be our next developer beta that comes out. I don't anticipate we'll see anything till after the holidays with developer betas coming up. Daniel, any reaction to the 2.2?
Not in particular. I actually haven't used my Vision Pro very much since it came out, as we'll get to in the next bullet point here as to why I haven't really been using it the last couple of days since it came out. I didn't even know that they were going to do that in Safari. That's actually really cool. I need to go and find some links from probably last week's episode, or guys were trying to see.
Yeah, we talked about it a few episodes ago, and then just last episode when we said, okay, it's out, it's finally there. It's like, okay, now let's give this, because the idea that Safari can manage spatial video as a browser is attractive for Apple users. It's attractive for Apple Vision Pro users, and it's also kind of thumbing the nose at some of the competitors that can't manage that yet. So, yeah, I mean, I can send you the link of the one that I have done, and I don't know if Eric's tried to post one, or I can embed some video with that. I'll put the link in the show notes with regard to mine, so everybody can take a look at it if they want to, particularly if they have Vision Pro headsets. It's not exciting video. It's me walking into my backyard with the leaves changing, so it's been shot a while ago, and it was shot with my 15 Pro. Or what is it, 15 or 16 are we on now? I can't remember.
16 now.
16 Pro Max, yeah. It was shot with my 16 Pro Max. So, yeah, listeners and viewers can take a look at it by checking out the show notes. Daniel, tell us your story of woe.
So I spent this past Monday, I spent about 3 hours at the Genius Bar trying to convince them that I'm not crazy, and then my audio pods are making some static noise. So for a couple weeks, my right audio pod whenever you would like interact, like if anything was rendered on screen and then you would start interacting with it, you could hear, well, I could hear a very faint, like static, buzzy noise. It really sounded like like electrical interference almost, especially with the behavior. Like, I would click a button or something or scroll, and you would hear, or rather, I could hear. And I'm being very specific about the I here, and I can hear it. Um, um, the static change in relation to me interacting with the device. So since being on, getting ahead of myself, so yeah, basically interacting with any app kind of didn't matter what app or what I was doing, as long as there was one on screen, it could do this static noise, and it was only the right one. It was only ever the right one. Um, it happens regardless of volume level, maxed out or completely down to zero. You'll still do it. Even with AirPods in, I could hear it do it in paired to the Vision Pro. I could hear it doing it, and just to sanity check myself that it wasn't playing through the AirPods, I like put them in upside down and swapped them on my ears. And if it was coming out of like the AirPods, it would have moved to my other ear, but it didn't. Um, so
Did it stay on the same ear even though you swapped the AirPods?
yeah. So it's
Okay,
it's
all right.
always my right audio pod. Yep.
Yeah.
So since being on 2.2 beta, and I can't confirm when I noticed this exactly, my earliest note I wrote down was like November 27th or something, and I'm pretty sure I had long been on 2.2 beta at that time. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna kind of write it out. It could be a beta thing, especially with it being so seemingly tied to opening apps and using apps. The release, beta, release candidate came, no change. So then last Monday, I just kind of like, I'm like, I just don't want to use this. And I'm like, that was actually a really pretty big deal to me, that I'm like, I do not want to use it because of this noise, which, I mean, if you can hear it, it would be annoying to anybody. So I end up spending 3 hours there. They try every different thing, every reset, flash, different firmware or software, what have you. And every time I have to go and take it because they can't hear it. Their diagnostics tests, always show all fine. But then I'll go and take it, and I have to like go outside of the mall because it's just too loud, and I can still go and make the sound. So you have me walking around with goggles on, like moving my fingers back and forth, and I mean, I'm sure I looked like, what is this guy doing? And meanwhile, I'm just like taking a Safari window and throwing it back and forth to make the noise happen.
So you couldn't put it in guest mode and let them hear the process that you're hearing?
So yeah, eventually she ended up busting out her own light seal and all that, and spent, I don't know how long, like 45 minutes or so in the back, just using it and trying to hear it, and she couldn't hear it either. And ultimately, I'm like, well, hey, I mean, I get it. As my partner puts it, I can hear a fly fart on the moon. So like, I have really good hearing, and at least once does that kind of stuff. And so I'm like, it's understandable that you guys are probably having a hard time hearing it. But like, can we maybe just like swap this audio pod? And it got all the way to the point where she literally even had it in her hand and she couldn't authorize it. So it's like, okay, I had to go out to the repair depot again. And of course, it came back and they couldn't reproduce it. Okay. So I'm like, I'm going to give it another shot. I got it back. I put the release or the official 2.2 on it. I actually used it today. Now, to be fair, I wasn't trying to look for the noise. And even if I was using it in my garage. I was taking some CAD models I had done and mocking them up on the car. Really cool, actually. I need to share some screenshots of that and some video of that. It's very cool. Yes, I mean, I heard it when it came back some. Maybe it is software. I'm going to just see. I'm going to try not to look for it and see if I notice it again. But if it does continue, I mean, you bet I'm going to be right back over there. And so, I mean, because I wouldn't be able to tolerate that if it continues, for sure.
Is there a way to record it? Can you stick a microphone in your ear and?
So I did try to do that. And what I did is I took 2 wired earpods, taped them to each audio pod, plugged both the headsets into my computer and tried to record both channels at the same time. And then just try to pick up and see look, I'm interacting and you can see just the right side spike a little bit more than the left. I didn't spend super long. I didn't get anything usable out of it. I probably could record it. It's just rather I should say, I'm sure it can be recorded. Can I? I don't know. So we'll see. If it continues to do that, I'm going to try that hacky hack thing again and see if I can do that. But then that raises another thing where it's you're going to have me walking into a Genius Bar with a printout of waveforms and being like, look, put this down on the table. Just write audio. That'd be a first for any of them.
How far are you from another Apple store?
That's a good question. 45 minutes-ish.
I'm just thinking maybe another store would take another approach to it.
Maybe.
They would go in and look at your record, obviously. And you could just say, I came here with it because the other Genius Bar didn't seem to get it.
Perhaps. Well, I think she got it, and I got to hand it to her. She really took a lot of time trying to figure this out for me. But that's if I'll give mine another shot if I have to again. But then after that, that's not an awful idea. But I would hope if I come back again, I would hope we just do an audio pod swap, especially since it's so easy, just in and out and done in a second. So, or if they just had one, I'd be like, yo, just put one in. Do you have one randomly in a parts bin? Just pop it in. Let me go outside and see. Does it do it anymore? Nope. Cool. Now give me a new one.
Yeah. Well, that seems like a lot for you to kind of be involved in, but you hear what you hear. I have tinnitus, so I constantly hear the ringing anyways. But static, I would probably hear and understand with it, and problems with it too. So it would bug me. And I've heard there, I've heard. I know with reading things on Reddit, and particularly with this, you're thinking about the beta. Well, there were some issues in terms of switching sound from having it play from the MacBook to the actual device. So they've been mucking around with that somehow. And so and if you follow things on Reddit, people are talking about issues they have with their sound pods with it. So it's all sensible what you're doing. It's just surprising that they couldn't quite hear what you were talking about. So,
yeah,
you have to find a really, really young genius, somebody under 12 with good hearing.
There were a couple of them. So I'll be like, no, give me that guy over there. He looks.
Well, let's jump into the news if we can do that. And the first article that we have is an interesting article. It's a rumor, and it is that Apple won't be selling smart glasses for a few more years. Does that surprise any of you?
No, the subtitle should have been, and neither is anybody else.
I'm just surprised that there wasn't a price in the article.
Oh, you mean
Apple won't be selling this thing that doesn't exist, and we're sure that it's going to be like $4,000. So
yeah, you do have a point there that it's surprising they didn't make a case regarding the cost of the device, the new smartphone or smart glass device that they haven't really done anything with. So yeah, I'm just trying to move some screens around here. So I'm sorry about that for listeners and viewers. Yeah, it was on Apple Insider, and it's amazing to me what these Apple Media places do, because they'll talk about kind of the negative and you'll think, okay, this is slanted this way. And then they'll get real excited about it in their year-end review, and we'll kind of get into that later on when we talk about year-end reviews. Next article is about Apple Vision Pro taking you to the immersive experience. And I don't know if any of you,
Thumbs up.
Eric's given a big thumbs up, and it's pretty cool in terms of the experience. Eric, what did you think?
Well, I don't like horror movies, and they did a really pretty good job of not trying to scare you. There is one point in it where I felt like the shark was just a little bit close, but I looked at the guy who was, kind of coordinating everything, and he had all his fingers, so it was worth it.
That's always a
was
good
really
sign.
nice. Yeah.
When somebody gets out of the experience with all their fingers. I don't know. I don't get the fascination. Maybe Daniel, you do, of swimming with sharks.
Oh, well, I don't want to do it. I bet it's cool. And I do want to see. I haven't seen this clip yet, so I'm going to actually watch this after. But I'm probably is awesome. I mean, it's about the closest I'll ever get to actually experiencing something like that. There's a ton of things in the world like that I'd love to experience, but I just will never do. Like, I want to see someone do a immersive video of somebody skydiving.
No.
Oh, there we go.
Well, I'll tell you, they would have to clean out my wetsuit if I was down there with sharks.
This is great. You're down there with sharks. You don't have to shower off the salt. You're done. You can get right out of the water, no problem. And the person that they took on this outing, she had a long, interesting life. So if something had gone wrong, but it was good. She enjoyed it. I was happy to see somebody else in the water. I was happy to make it seem like I was in the water. There were a couple points where I kind of, stuck my hand out because the shark was a little close. There's a couple times I wanted to stand up and climb back into the boat, but it was nicely done. And the placement of the cameras were done well so that I didn't feel like I was in danger. Except for that one point where, a little close.
Yeah, I hope to see more of these videos. I hope to see more of this stuff come out. Because as I think I've mentioned before, each one of these videos that are immersive videos takes a different cinematographic point of view.
Yes.
And so it's not just the same old kid's birthday party over and over and over again. All the stuff that's been developed has been developed with different depths of field, with different content going on in it, and a different visceral experience for people who are watching the immersive video. So I think it's very intentional to drive creative artists to be able to use the media. And, we'll see. We'll see what happens with it. Next article is an article, and maybe you guys can explain this to me. I think I have one idea about where this is going or where this might be going, but Apple Vision Pro apps get a 5G boost. How does an app get a boost?
My understanding, which I don't like how they worded that, because it's strange. My understanding, and I also linked an Apple article document about it. It's just, I think what's going on is they're just doing quality of service on 5G to prioritize at the app level. So they know if it's Zoom or WebEx or whatever you're doing a call on, or FaceTime or gaming, which, is a good idea. It's not bad to do that, to prioritize it, so because it's real time and matters more so than loading the TikTok video. It doesn't need to be done in real time as fast. So it looks like when you're tethering, like on the Vision Pro side of things, when you're tethering, I guess it will just propagate that message to your phone that you're tethering in whatever app you're using, so it'll be able to take advantage of that as well. At least that's how I read it.
It's this prepping for the rumors that I think we talked about last week, that, or on other shows I've been on, that there are going to be Apple devices that are going to get 5G modems or modems. And one of them mentioned was Vision Pro, that we would be able to be, without having to be connected to Wi-Fi, that we could be connected to a cellular service for being able to use it.
I don't think it's something you need for that, for sure.
Okay.
Well, and this feels different. This is more of a usability of bandwidth. Like right now, if you use your phone as a hotspot and go and you do a bunch of stuff, a lot of the cell phone companies will throttle back your bandwidth. Or like if you use your computer to connect, it'll throttle back your bandwidth after a little while and things will just get relatively slow. But if you plug in a wired connection and it's your device, you kind of continue to get more throughput, but it depends on the vendor. So I'm guessing this is more of that. So it's a good thing because the Apple Vision Pro really does want to have a nice network connection, and it wants it consistent, not showing up and then going away. If you're trying to stream something, you want to make it all the way to the end. So I'm guessing it's something along those lines.
Okay. All right. Well, next article.
Damn, Mom, I got my headgear on. You wake up.
I don't know if you remember that clip.
Damn, Mom, I got my headgear on. You wake up.
16 candles. Come on.
It's been a while.
Yeah. And so our next article is about headgear. And I find it fascinating because Apple's now selling medical expert design Vision Pro accessory that solves a top user complaint. I hope you've looked at this, or at least you've kind of looked at the design. Here's the design and how it's. Yeah.
I hate it.
You hate it?
It looks
Why
like it looks like it looks like it's crawling. It wants to crawl on my skull.
Well,
and also I probably can't too much disassociate the company, because it's that company ResMed who makes a bunch of CPAP devices, and also we have a bunch of ResMed stuff because my partner has a CPAP as well. And also I do find it funny. I wonder if ResMed got into this because there was quite a number of people using their spare like CPAP straps and stuff so it makes you wonder if they're just like, wait a minute. but me saying I hate it aside, because it does look really strange. I'd still be for trying this, but the hard no for me on this one is that it's looks like it's all Velcro, which is like the hard no reason why I didn't even try the dual strap. I really like that like ratcheting twisty mechanism, just because it's just less fiddly. Or if I am gonna fiddle, it's like just very easy to do, and it's not Velcro-y loud or whatever. So if they did that with the little ratchet knobs, I would try it then.
I'm using the Belkin, and it is essentially a Velcro once you get it set. But once you get it set, you forget about it's done. And I think that this design looks the same. It doesn't look like, once you've got it encased around your head, it doesn't look like you're going to have to do too much with it. Okay, as being a CPAP sufferer and having ResMed stuff all over my house, when I read this, I thought, wow, I get it. I didn't know people were attempting to use their old cage masks to kind of attach to, but I get it. This is right up their par. Price tag $120. It's medical device expensive. However, I've been trying to find one. They keep saying, and if you go to the Apple Store, it's sort of in the Apple Store online, but I can't find any available at all. They don't ship it. They don't have it available to pick up at the store. So it's sort of we're in this point where the device is out there, but it's not available for people to shop, even with a backlog for it. Now, surprisingly, I read a review of it on Reddit, and everybody asked the same question: how the hell did you get this thing? Because nobody can get it. And the person, I don't think, actually responded to that. However, the review was very specific and very good and very positive about it. And the other thing that you don't necessarily get from this article was, maybe you do, where you see the band attaching to itself with the Velcro, there's weights in there that you can put. So it adds kind of a counterbalance weight, which I think is, we've always said just put the battery behind it and that'll pull the front end. But I think it's kind of a cool design for that purpose. Daniel, you look quizzical.
If you could clip the CPAP into this while you've got the whole vision thing.
Eric, do you use a CPAP? Yeah, so do I.
I'm thinking, well, this strap looks better than the one I've got. And it's cheaper too. So.
It actually
you mean just use it for better. You could just use it for CPAP instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I'll show this to my partner. He probably it actually does look comfier than the one he has to use.
I'm on a not to turn this into a medical show, but I switched from the over the face mask to the, with the straps in the back, and you constantly had to mess with it.
Yep.
To one that just kind of goes over, and then the strap splits and holds the back of your head. And it's a pillow is what they call it, goes under your nose. And that's worked for me, and it's a lot less stuff with sleeping. So, when I got a new machine a bit back, the guy said, "Why don't you try this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I still have the old stuff at home. Let's try this." And I've been using it, and it's great. So, but I'm all to them. I just wish it wasn't medical device prices.
I mean, if it makes you feel any better, I was curious how much a solo knit band costs. It's $100.
Yeah. I'm and I will try this once I can get my hands on it, because what the hell. And we have a couple of articles in there on that. And then when we go to other kinds of accessories, there is an article here about Apple this comes from Mac Rumors, Apple begins selling new Vision Pro carry sling and exclusive charging accessories. So they kind of combined this into one article, but we'll give you a look at it in the meantime. Any of this seems of interest to you?
I kind of want the purse.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a purse, but I like it.
It looks good though. Like, not a lot of extra room, but comfortable handles and strap.
Where do they have do they have the blowout on this, or do I have to go? Because they had, maybe it was when I went to the Apple store, they show this. Yeah, it's $180 for that purse, Daniel.
Yeah. I like to have expensive bags. I don't know, but not enough to where I would get the space marshmallow. And I don't know if I'd get this one. I still want to try that Belkin, though.
This has it looks like it's got a top layer where you do your battery, and then a bottom layer. Or I can't figure that out. Or maybe
it looks like the battery straps to the bottom
of the
Vision Pro. Yeah.
Oh, like a cover or something. I don't see enough room to put in a Mac Mini though. I mean that's the whole. The whole extra new feature of the marshmallow bag is a Mac Mini fits right in there now. Really convenient.
If it doesn't, if this bag does not fit into my carry-on, then I'm carrying on two bags. And
I bet it would fit though.
I don't know. I don't do the big kinds of full-size carry-ons. What I want is a carry-on that, and what I use is a carry-on that is like a satchel. And then I slide my Vision Pro in its small bag, hard shell small bag, into the satchel. And then as soon as I get on the plane, take the Vision Pro out, throw the satchel up top, and I basically taken one and turned it into two. This looks like it would. I wouldn't be able to do that. I don't take one of those roller carry-ons generally with me because I check what I check. Folks who do the roller carry-ons and then do the backpacks on top of it and then do the bag that they have their computer in it. I think it's just,
And the CPAP machine, because that's another one that doesn't count.
Yeah. And the sleeping bag. It's just pay the damn fee and check it. That's just the cost of doing business. So that's some interesting devices. And now let's get into the magical world of the new Google headset. And I don't know. When it first came out, I didn't see much about it. I saw something that came up that was a link to a clip that was taken from, I guess, when they previewed it in front of an audience. And folks complained about, or at least some of the things folks said, doesn't look like the pass-through is as good as they claim it to be. And it looks like the video that they were streaming was kind of pretty shaky and not as clear as you would expect it to be. But, Google and Samsung with this XR headset is going to be competition. And I don't think that's bad. Oh, of course, we got to get the price point in and the weight issues. But then they talk about a bunch of other technologies that are out there that are attempting this. It's called Project Moohan, which is infinity in Korean. And is there anything about this design that wasn't stolen from Apple?
Yeah, it's like they got a Vision Pro front, a Quest with a wacky
right,
Bobo
Quest
VR extra globular headset aftermarket strap, and then that light seal is, it's a render, but that light seal is whoever that someone's got a big forehead there, basically, is all I'm getting at.
Yeah. And I think we got another one here.
There's nothing wrong with competition. It's just something interesting about it though is that so we'd have an Apple version. Meta's doing what Meta's doing. So like today we have the Apple and the Android, right? So are we going to have the Apple, the Android, and the Meta? And yes, I know the Meta is running Android, but that's that's not how really anyone looks at it, right? They don't call it Android. I don't believe. I don't believe Meta refers to it as Android. So I find that part it would be interesting if Google goes through with this.
The product that hasn't been produced yet, by the way, is much lighter than Vision Pro. So the product that we'll see in 18 months to 2 years will be much lighter than the Vision Pro. Well, I got news for you. The Vision Pro will be much lighter in that same time. So I find it really kind of wild that some of the stuff they're talking about. This is the same thing when they came out with the Orion glasses, and Meta had said, now we've got our first set of smart glasses that you'll see in 3.5 years, and they're worth $10K or whatever the cost was with it. So I don't make any predictions. Yeah,
it's going to be so much lighter. You might call it vaporware.
Yeah.
Hey, but at least Meta actually had something to show.
Yeah.
And people actually got to use it.
You mean with Meta or with the Orion?
Yeah, Meta's
the smart
Orion
glasses.
Yeah. People actually got to try them and use them. Reporters, not normal people. But at least they actually showed something, and it's actually real. Which, to be fair, I don't really need to see Samsung show this. We know we as humans can build this. So, but I'm just curious what the software is going to look like, and I'm sure it's going to look. I mean, the final product of what the software is going to look like. I imagine it'll look a lot like a lot of these Chinese Android handsets we've been seeing, which of course took a lot of inspiration from.
I'm going to push back on the Orion comment that people had a chance to use it. I think one person had a chance to use it. It was tethered, and it was a very controlled experience with what's his name, Zuckerberg, on the other end of it. So I don't think it was like a post experience at Apple Park where all the reporters go into a room and get to play with it. This was really a prototype set.
No. No, a lot did. There's a lot of videos from like Marquez Brownlee, The Verge, Adam Savage even has one. I definitely didn't just Google it.
Of the Orion,
yeah, and I believe they made. I can't remember how many they made. No, they made more than that. They made a decent amount to have as internal dev kits, but I mean, at 10K a pop, I mean, they can afford it. I can't imagine they did more than a couple thousand. I mean, apparently they're literally growing crystals in their basement to make this work on how those waveguides work. But yeah, I mean, at least people could try it, and it was still an extremely controlled demo. But there was a lot of reporters who got to try it.
So I have many other articles on here. One that is Google wants to sell Project Astra AR glasses someday, but it won't be today. So the article talks about the steps they're going to have to do in order to get their demos of Project Astra up to speed in order to do the work. Daniel, you asked about the operating system, the Android XR operating system, and there's an article in Mac Rumors that talks about the debuting of that for mixed reality headsets. And they say that with more immersive content coming in 2025. So mobile and tablet apps from Google Play will work with Android XR right out of the box, and they'll be doing more with that. So, and then Google Gemini will allow for one tap access to it. So take a look. These links are going to all be in the show notes for folks to take a look. And this is my most unfavorite. I'm going to show this one. This is my most unfavorite title. Meet the new Vision Pro killer.
Yes. I remember when every other phone was an iPhone killer.
I like this. Based on the released image, Samsung's headset looks a lot like Apple Vision Pro. Like a lot. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be the Apple Vision Pro killer. No, it's going to be a motivator for Apple Vision to kind of move ahead in what they're doing. So,
kind of helps confirm the market, though. So it's like, it's a good idea. We think it's good enough to try and come up with something.
Yeah, it's and it doesn't look like they're giving up on it either. I mean, this was going to be a dead product, and it doesn't look like they're going to do that. So we have a couple of articles that I thought was pretty cool. They were both talk about Apple Vision Pro as being sort of the product of the year, and they don't mean necessarily that it's the best product. They mean that in terms of innovation. And Cletus, who is a regular listener of this, has a headset. We met him at MacStock, and his comments with us. But he turned us on to this article in Popular Science. So it goes through 50 of the greatest innovations of 2024. And, why wouldn't Apple be one of, and the Vision Pro in particular, be one of those products? So we'll page through it a little bit here. And they have different categories: gadgets, entertainment, aerospace, personal care. So there's plenty in this to look at. But if you think of one of the products, one of the technologies that probably is the most impressive release, you've got to think that it is the Vision Pro, and it's considered innovation of the year. And they talk about the dimensionality, the way in which spatial computing has kind of started. They, of course, give the price tag. It's the massive price tag. And if you think about it, even if you've just seen a teardown of this thing, or it's got so many moving parts and pieces that had to be put together that it's just really impressive. That and it's not surprising that it is considered kind of the innovation of the year with Apple. Second article, I'll go to this and then I'll look for your comments on it. This came from Apple Insider, the gadget of the year on the Apple, and this was talked about on the Apple Insider podcast. But they also rate Apple Intelligence in iOS 18.2 as being an important aspect of it. So, again, the media seems to be jumping back and forth on this, and it sort of feels like a political election where they're trying to create a battle in order to have something to talk about. So, comments on this? Now, come on, I sucked up enough air so you guys could start thinking, and we're getting dead silence.
Well, I don't have an iPhone that can do Apple Intelligence stuff, but I have played around with it on my Mac some. And if that's any indication of how good it is on the phone, I think whoever wrote this might not have ever used Apple Intelligence. Because I'm not a fan so far.
Okay, we've established we established you and Apple Intelligence. That's going to be like a difficult matchup.
Yeah. I could be spoiled by Claude and all that. So to be fair, I tried to make Apple Intelligence do stuff which I am certain that they did not intend to actually do at all. So fair point.
Yeah, I think Claude is a completely different market and intention than what they're doing with Apple Intelligence. And because what they're doing with Apple Intelligence is so personal context related, and the privacy issue is real important in terms of data with Apple, that they're creating a different product. It's not a product that necessarily is in competition with Claude.
Oh yeah.
And that's because that's what the platform and the company kind of supports. I wouldn't put Apple Intelligence up with ChatGPT or other LLMs that I use yet. But the part it'll bring is privacy and context for me, which, if you ask Claude something about, I don't know, I don't play that much with Claude, but if I tried to ask something that was about my appointments or what's coming up, next, or can you find me this? Claude is not there yet, I don't think, or is even intended to go there yet.
Yeah, that's right, for sure. And from the perspective of if they got this technology and they get it commonplace in the phones, which is kind of an Apple move for a long time if you think about it, like they jam-packed so much stuff in there that I think, even if I recall, there's some stuff in the latest phones that isn't even being used right now for any reason. I can't remember exactly. But then they can just suddenly later on turn it on, right? And if I'm going to expect any company to make LLM technology useful for the consumer, because I still stand that every consumer application of LLMs is garbage. I just don't like it, and I'm sick of hearing about it. I'm sure everyone else is too. But if there's any company I trust to solve a problem with this technology for the average person, I'd expect Apple to do it.
Yeah, I kind of disagree with you around the idea that Well, we know that you don't like LLMs. We know you don't like AI. Well, you're wearing an artificial intelligence shirt right now, or
Oh
something.
yeah, that's
Is
true. Yeah, but this came from like a VoIP conference, though. I don't know what AI
for
has to do with
voice
it.
over IP?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know what. Yeah,
and this was like 8 years ago. Now there's a lot of LLM stuff with all the calling platforms, but not back then.
yeah. I would suspect that when Apple Intelligence matures, there are going to be parts of it that you like that I hate, and parts of it that I like that you hate. Just because I think some of the things they're doing, like playgrounds, I don't care. I don't want. I don't want to generate pictures to put into my text message. I don't want to be creative. I want to use it as a communication device. So all of that stuff and trying to make pictures of me into Genmojis or whatever they're called. That's just not part of my where I work. That's a different generational's interest than mine. So,
Well, that being said,
mhm.
when it comes down to innovative products, I have no problem with Vision Pro being in the list. I think when I look at Apple Intelligence, I mean it keeps getting described as if it's one monolithic thing, but it
Yeah.
really is, like hundreds of little teeny tiny things that aren't closely related other than somebody put a marketing spin on it. And all of the little teeny tiny pieces, I've been pretty happy with the progress. There are many pieces of it I have no interest in and would just as soon it either not be there or that I could permanently turn it off and not have to deal with it. But there's other stuff, even little tiny things like, being able to pull an object out of a picture and use that separately. I hated having to go into Photoshop and layer and cut, and it
Mm-hmm.
is much easier to get something that is acceptable enough for the times I need to pull, a part or component out and then paste it somewhere else. That I'm really happy with. And I suspect there will or like in the Apple TV now, being able to adjust speech to clean it up automatically for everything you're listening to. That is just gold. That has
Yeah.
made life immediately improved for lots and lots and lots of people. So I'm very much in favor of the little teeny tiny components. I don't know about the whole marketing umbrella of Apple Intelligence, because I think everybody blows that up to something that it was never intended to be, just because Apple Intelligence or AI is important this year. The pieces I like are the useful bits. I'm happy they're there. Even weird things like in Apple Vision Pro, trying to take a screenshot, being able to actually ask Siri to take a screenshot and have it actually take a screenshot. I'm not sure how to do it with a key combination, but the voice part works. It works well. And other voice control stuff seemed to have improved at the same time. And whether that was because the voice control had to work for Apple Vision Pro because there wasn't a good alternative, and that's why it improved, or there was some other reason it improved, I'm not sure. I'm just happy to see the improvement. Being able
Yeah.
to issue requests while you're driving down the highway and have them mostly handled close enough, that's made a huge difference.
Yeah, I've used it in CarPlay very effectively in order to get some things, messages out or things like that, using vocal prompts with it. Gurn
Mhm.
in the chat room says that cleanup feature is much improved since the beta. I'm getting good results now. I tried it early on, and frankly, I tried it to see if it could remove my head, and because I wanted to have a few pictures with me headless, and it wouldn't do it. It just pixelated my face, and so I'll go back and try now that we're out of beta to see if I can crop my head out
Well,
completely.
that's sort of an unusual use. Like, go
Yeah,
and
I
take a
know.
picture of yourself standing in front of a telephone pole and then have it remove the telephone pole from your head. That's a normal use. And that works really well.
No, you don't. What you call not normal use, I call the only reason I want to edit photos is to remove my head completely and stand in a group of people with the one headless body there, disembodied, not disembodied head. It would be just a headless body. So we'll see how Apple Intelligence improves. I think they do a better, as Eric is tired of hearing about it, we sit in this system where we talk about it in the different shows that we do. I think it's really better. They have a better brand on it in marketing than I think any of the other services are. They know how to tie it to the person who's going to buy the device better than I think other versions do. So we'll see. Let's look at a couple of apps and close the show out as we do. There was one that I think Daniel, did you leave this in, or was it Eric? Called I Am Cat Life Simulator.
Yeah, it's kind of everything it says on the tin.
I couldn't get it to work. It said I wasn't in the right region.
Yeah,
interesting.
I couldn't connect either in the Apple Store.
Huh? Because I bought it like the second day it came out or something. That's strange. Unfortunate, but it's it was originally a Quest game.
Right.
And then that was a few months ago, and then they came out with a Vision Pro version just recently. It's fun. It's just, it's not like a super in-depth simulation game. It's kind of a meme in many respects, but it is actually kind of fun to, if any of you have cats and then they go up and they just like want to knock stuff over, it's actually kind of fun to be the cat and like hop up into a bookshelf and like paw at the books and be like, yo, get these books off, get out of here, or climb up the fridge and knock a bunch of stuff off the whatever. And there's like little goals and objectives and stuff. And you actually have to run with your hands and like you're pawing, like you look like you're basically swimming. Like if I wanted to record a video of me playing it, I'm sure I just look like I'm digging in the air to run in the game. But it's fun. Like it's one of those. I don't know. Like I said, it's not like a super in-depth game, but it's a fun simulation.
Yeah. I saw it a couple of weeks ago when you put it in, and then last week you weren't with us, so I held it to this week, and I was excited to do it. And I'm allergic to cats. I'm not a big fan of cats. I'm a dog person, but I still was excited to do it. And then I was disappointed I couldn't get it through the App Store, or couldn't get it because it said it was restricted in terms of the area that I was in. To be able to get it, because I think a couple of weeks ago I clicked on it and it looked like it was available and an option for me. But I said, okay, well, we'll deal with that another time, because we wound up passing over it, I think, by mistake. I'm going to go to another one, which I saw was a new app, or in the What's New section. And, I work as a faculty member teaching mental health counseling, essentially. And so I'm kind of interested in this. And I also will, do presentations at conferences on AI and technology applications that are related to mental health. And this is a little frighteningly good. It's Xaia, XAIA, for folks who are listening, and your mental health ally. So I didn't pay for it yet, and I'm not sure I'm going to pay for it. But I got it and opened the app up, and you can see pictures of this robotic type of person who carries on and will talk to you and tell you about what you can do within the app, and what I'm saying it's a she, can do in terms of creating an opportunity to have a chat partner, basically. The app is developed, and this was the backstory I didn't know about until just before the show. Cedars-Sinai's behavioral health app launches on Apple Vision Pro, and it really was it was put together by doctors at Cedars-Sinai as sort of a supportive therapeutic device or approach to work with it. And then again, you have this three-dimensional Android. Of course, it has those big eyes with really big irises, like or really big pupils, like they're really paying attention to you. And you can do, they have meditation scenes in it that you can go to and do meditation with. And there are so many meditation apps on Apple Vision Pro. I'm sick of meditation apps. Trip is the best one, in my opinion, but this is another opportunity to sit in a AI generated Dolly-like forest and with some animation in it to do meditation with and do my guided meditation. Okay, so she takes me through the whole thing, and then she goes, okay, so let's do this. What would you like to talk about? And so just ask and say whatever you're going to say, and then click your fingers together when you're done speaking, and I'll respond. And her response rate and time, I should say, was pretty good. There wasn't a lot of delay. And then the other part of it is that she was really picking up on context, because there have been these kinds of chat bots around for years. MIT created one back in the 60s called Freudbot. And it basically is coded with folks who are, it's coded in a way that it takes whatever sections of what you've said and it repeats it back to you. So it's like, I'm feeling really upset about my work. Tell me what upsets you about your work. So this is a little bit more complicated in context. And so when I first looked at the pricing, it said $19 for premium. I thought, well, I'd pay $20 for this app. But then when I got into the app, it was $20 a month. And I thought, I'm not ready to do that. However, it told me when I finished with my conversation with her, and I don't know how long it was, it might have been 5 minutes, that I had 9 minutes left to talk to her, I guess this month, if I wanted to carry on a session. But the $20 gives you unlimited opportunity to do that. Interesting app. There's one that's on the iPhone and maybe on Android devices called Replica. But it's contextual responses, and the idea that this also suggested, like, would you like to learn some coping skills for being able to do with this? We can talk about breaking things down into parts. I mean, it seemed like she had a strategy, whereas Replica just seems like, when I've used it, seems like an app that parrots back a lot of stuff with some encouragement in it, but not really one that delves into problem solving. What do you think, guys?
That sounds kind of interesting, actually. I might try playing with it briefly. Just kind of curious to know how responsive.
Yeah, I would say download the app. Don't pay for it yet. That's your own personal decision. But let it work its way through and carry on a conversation and try and give it something that is real enough that she's able to interact with you. Daniel?
I was muted. These are cool. I as somebody who has an extensive mental health journey, I can see all of these. I mean, not just Zia, I think is how we pronounce it, but any of these other LLM based like therapists and whatnot. It's exciting from a access perspective. Me personally, I don't know if it's something that could help me. I think that just might be who I am, though, like in that sense. So it's hard for me to relay, but I don't know. I should give it a shot, really. I haven't given any of these kind of personality kind of like bot kind of AI things a shot, too. I don't know, just something weirds me out about that, like having a relationship with an AI. Not to say that this is necessarily that, but you're going to start telling it a lot of really deep stuff potentially. So,
I see. I see this as a life coach, not necessarily a therapist. It doesn't mean that you can't provide it with things that are therapy related versus I'm struggling trying to get through this. Help me figure out ways to get through this. So more life adjustment, life coach type things. If someone was suffering with a great deal of depression, I would not recommend that they necessarily use a bot. But frankly, if that's the only thing that they are willing to do, it's a start. And if they get comfortable talking to someone, some object that's a artificial intelligence object, and it gives them enough courage to move into following through and doing the work they need to do, then, then it works. It's like when we had agoraphobics and they wouldn't leave the house to go to do therapy because they're agoraphobic. Having an online option or going to them to see them is also a good step. This is the in between, I think. And for some folks, it might just be sufficient for dealing with life changes that they could, with a little help and a little support, they could sort out on their own.
The coach idea did give me an idea, though, that actually I might try this for. There's a ton of people who are like ADHD coaches. Something like that, where you have like professional trained AI on techniques around managing that. I could see that. I mean, I can easily relate into that one and see that I could use that personally. But then, yeah, just being an open door, like if it gets people to get what they need, then I'm all for it.
All right, let's take a look at one last app that I don't know which one of you guys put this up.
I threw that one in.
Yeah, I figured it might have been an Eric thing.
Because, we need yet another video app. This one is interesting because it's kind of early in its development stages. It works. It's interesting because by default, it comes with a whole pile of 360-degree videos. So when you're watching it, you can rotate all the way around and you're fully surrounded in a video bubble. So that's kind of neat. The interface isn't very visionOS like. It's different. It's kind of it. I guess I almost would think of it as dropping into a video game where the video game was playing videos.
Okay.
So the interface isn't quite what I was expecting. The stuff is there. It works, but it's almost like it was ported from some other environment. So if either of you get a chance to try it, you might recognize where some of this came from. And then the only other thing I would say is don't adjust the resolution because then everything stops working. Just take the default. It's worth looking at just because it's a different interface to go in and watch movies, and sort of the concept of how do you watch a movie yet have controls available to go and do other things? Where do you put them? How do you adjust them? So if you think of it more like you're launching a game to watch videos as opposed to a video player on visionOS, I find mentally that works better.
Is that a full immersive app?
Yes.
Okay.
So, it's also on. Sorry, Eric, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I'm not sure if it always has to be immersive, but yeah, it kind of gives you like an environment. You start in a bare, like a wireframe theater, and the controls are there and what you can pick, and then poof, you go watch and whatever. So I guess I found it interesting because it's, for me, a different way of looking at a video player.
It's free. Let's give it that. And it also is an iPhone and an iPad version. So I'm wondering if this was kind of a port over. It's sort of like we've got it on these. We've got it in iOS. Let's go ahead and play around and get it in visionOS.
Yeah, but it doesn't really feel like an iOS or an iPad OS app either. It almost feels like it came from some other platform and then got moved over. But it was interesting. It was worthwhile to see how they did what they did.
So it looks like it was a Google Cardboard app.
Oh, wow.
Oh, that would explain much then.
That explains the weird. Well, that explains in the iPhone pictures. There's like a little symbol that was definitely. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's the Google Cardboard like little logo.
Yeah.
So then I just checked the Play Store. It's on there. I mean, I don't know which one came first, but I'm gonna bet it came out there first, and then he's like, okay, I'm gonna port it to the phone, and because there's some weird like virtual controls on like the iPad and iPhone apps, and it's like that's strange. So it makes sense.
Yeah.
That was a natural evolution for that person to port it over to that.
Yeah, the version history goes back to August 15th, 2023.
Yeah. And from what I can tell, people who've posted comments, the developer's been responsive.
Yeah.
So it's something I'll go maybe check out every now and then. It isn't a video player I would pick as one of my primary ones, but I didn't feel like it wasted my time.
Gurn in the chat room said that he just saw a new bowling game for Vision Pro. It looks like fun. We'll have to try it out. So I will have to try that out.
That sounds like fun.
So Gurn, let us know what it's called, or we'll try and search it up ourselves too, and maybe we'll talk about it on our next show. Daniel, Eric, you've got anything to say in terms of what's going on in your life, or what the holidays are going to be like for you, or any final comments?
I got it through more lessons in the piano app.
Which one? The Simply
Piano.
Simply Piano. Oh, okay. I'm glad you tried that out. Yeah.
It actually seemed to work pretty well. I wouldn't say whatever I'm playing is something anybody else would want to listen to, but my whole arm is now sore.
Well,
you probably should put a timer up and say don't spend more than an hour or two.
I watched the first show of the first season of Severance, so that will probably be my work through during break, is to try and catch up with that, and then I've got to get started on Silo again. Those are the two go-tos for me right now.
I've been Blizzard re-released World of Warcraft Classic again, and so I've been absorbed into that and having a heck of a time trying to actually play that in the Vision Pro as well. It doesn't handle mice very well in such a way that I can play the game very well. I'm going to figure out some wacky solution to make it work, but that's what's been absorbing a lot of my time in the last 2-3 weeks, and probably the break as well.
Are you looking for anything exciting tech-wise for the holidays, Christmas?
Yes, ideas what to get for my partner. I don't have any ideas yet. Well, and the hard part is I'll pretty much just get him whatever he wants anyway. So like he already has it. It's like the same things. Like, what do you buy? What do you give somebody who has everything? Right? Like same for me, right? I just buy whatever I want, and I just get him whatever he wants. So like I don't know what to get him for Christmas.
I understand that.
The trick is to find something that he wouldn't think of that he needs. And so you can look through Mac Voices. Mac Voices has done a whole series of shows, much of it tech related, of sort of gifts of the year. And you can listen to the show. You can also look at their show notes and see what people have chosen. And I think they've done 6 sets of guests. I was on the first set of guests. Eric, were you on it at all? No, didn't get on it.
No, I've just gotten swamped. So
yeah, and so you've got 3 or 4 people each time coming up with 3 different gift ideas, and generally around tech, but not always around tech. So that would be a suggestion if you're looking for some last minute stuff for your partner or your family. With that, I just made a decision yesterday for my daughter. She wants a Bluetooth speaker, and she works as does vocal performance and teaches vocal performance. So I imagine this Bluetooth speaker is for her to carry around. And when she gets to a location where she's doing the teaching in the studio, she has that available for her to play. So I had to make some decisions about which brand I was going to get and for what reasons. And I'll keep that secret for now, but finally did make a decision and got that set up. So, All right. Well, thanks for tonight. Again, next week we will be, and that would be the 22nd, be the Sunday, the 22nd. We're going to be doing, instead of a Monday show, we'll do a Sunday night show at 9 p.m. For the week, because whereas Eric's got something tomorrow, I've got something on the 23rd. So and I don't know, Daniel, if you're going to be able to be here or can be here, but we'll be going at 9 o'clock. So tune in then. What else can I say? Thanks for tuning in. You can find us, the live stream at youtube.com/@visionprofiles. And also you can find us, you can catch up on YouTube, or you can find us on all the different podcast services if you want to listen to the show after, when it's not live, if you haven't caught us then. We'd love to hear from our listeners. If you have any ideas or you want to join an episode, email us at thepodtalk.net, or no, go ahead and email us at visionprofilespodcast@gmail.com, at least until I get my copy straightened out. Our bumper music is Free Jazzy by Steve Combs, courtesy of the Free Music Archive. Learn more about us and Vision Pro podcast at the website, thepodtalk.net, and all of our other available podcasts are going to be there too. Spread the word to other visionaries. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.